Hey everybody, and happy Monday. It is, what is that? I think it's episode 6. And we are going to be talking about today, what problem do you solve? Hey, just while you're jumping in, I'm just going to share this, and feel free to just tell me as you're joining, feel free to tell me where you are watching this from. And if you are watching the replay, just type in replay and tell me where you are watching from. How was your weekend? How did you enjoy that extra hour that we had? At least, if you are watching here in the US, we changed the time, and we put the clocks back for those of you who don't know, and that gives everybody an extra hour of sleeping Saturday night into Sunday morning. Lots of fun. I always end up waking up extra early, and for some reason this year, I wasn't tired at the end of the day. A little surprised. Let's see. And so today we're going to be talking about what problem do you solve. A lot of times, when I'm working with private clients, I ask this question, or even at networking groups. One of the things that I've noticed is that you ask this question and people actually don't give you a concise answer. And especially if you're going to be working on stages or doing, webinars or virtual programs, you want to be able to really concisely, bring it right in, so that it's interesting and it's simple for people to understand. So, I love Mondays. I just a little tidbit about myself. For some reason, I just like Mondays. I think because it's the beginning of the week. I intentionally plan my schedule so that I get a lot done on Mondays. And curious, how do you, some people dread Mondays. Some people love Mondays. Some people just love every single day of the week. And I totally get that also. So I'd really appreciate it if you would share this with people, let others know that you think would be interested in really, defining and learning a little bit more about what problem do you solve. So let's just jump into this. And for all of the yous who are, oh my God, I can't believe I just said it that way. For everybody who does share this, you will be, there's a free offer that I'm going to send you. So I will mention the free offer towards the end of the show. So feel free to share this with your friends, with your colleagues, people that you think would be interested. And let's just dive right into this. So this question came up because I'm in this mastermind. And the mastermind is run by a gentleman who is a former CPA turned hedge fund manager and now is a big time money speaker. And in this mastermind, he did ask, he asked all of us, what problem do you solve? And trust me, he got every single one of us. And we all really ended up fine tuning our message, if you will, so that it was super simple. Now, as you might remember, I love neuroscience. And if I was to go back to school, I would be studying, neuroscience and the brain, because I just find it fascinating. And really it comes down to, why do we, sometimes our messaging makes our potential buyer, meeting planners, people hosting events that are booking speakers, we make them work way too hard to figure out what exactly we do. And I hope you're not one of those people. So let me know, in the comments below, what would you say is the problem that you solve? So share, because this is going to be a great opportunity for other people to get to know what you do, understand what problem you solve, and they might also know somebody who needs that problem solved. So great referral base. So what's the problem? And going back to the neuroscience about making it so short, sweet, interesting that all of our brains just oh, I get it. That I get. in the speaking world, we say don't try to be too, I don't want to use the word cute, but don't try to be so, I don't want to use the word like cute or fancy, but you want to talk in the way that you want to tell people your answer about what problem you solve, and in a way that people get it, so that they don't have to mentally work hard at it. They get it right away. And it's interesting, because the more sweet and simple and interesting it is, people are going to then say, oh, how do you do that? So I call this kind of like when I've spoken for some network marketing groups, or other professional groups where they bring me in to help people with their elevator pitch. And your elevator pitch, what you are saying or the problem that you solve, your elevator pitch, they can be two different things, but it has to be so sweet and simple that I get it, so that it's like the headline in the newspaper, so that when I ask you, well, how do you do that? That's the subtitle. And I'm interested, tell me more, then I'm going to read the article. So, what problem do you solve? And if you're watching the replay, type in replay and tell me what problem that you solve, because I know that by all of us talking about this, we're going to be able to refer a lot of other people. I just want to do a little shout out to Jen. She is finally back in her home state. She's been gone for a month, doing some very interesting work in the Las Vegas area. So let's see. Jen tells me that, here's the problem that she solves. She says, I help people overcome stress and chronic illness. I like that. And I'd want to even fine tune it a little bit more, so that, and that's, yeah, she says yay. And I'm thinking that she's saying yay about the, being home, because I know that there's a little bit of a delay here. So what's the problem? So think about it this way. When your clients wake up in the morning, what is it that they say that they're looking for? I need this. I need to get more X, Y, and Z. So during this mastermind, I was the one who was saying, I help entrepreneurs leverage speaking opportunities. And he was like, no, you don't. He goes, that's a process. That's the process that you take people through to help them get the problem that you solve. And he's right, because the real problem that I solve is I help my clients get more leads, more sales, and more margins. So if you ever watched Emeril Lagasse, when he was on the Food Network, he was like the essence of what I do is I help my clients get more sales, more leads, more margins. But I do that through the process of helping them leverage speaking opportunities to get them more clients, more visibility, and scale their business. So when you really think about it a little bit more, I want you to have this process, this statement about what exactly it is that you do, what's the problem that you solve, so that meeting planners get it. And they're going to hire you because it's like, oh yeah, let's just take a meeting planner for a chamber, and that is filled with business people. And you've got this clear, concise, here's the problem that I solve, and they're like, got it. I know exactly what meeting to put this person in. I want to hire them for, and then it can be a future event. It might be a particular theme that they're having during the month of March 2019. And now I'm dating, I'm dating the video. But think about it ahead of time. Rarely, and there are a lot of groups that do book people month to month. So right now during November, they're booking for December. But a lot of times, there's a lot of groups that actually book 6 months in advance. So what I'm trying to say is that, like, right now I've got a couple of people that are on my list that I need to reach out to, because in early November, they all of them told me, we're going to want to book you for the springtime for our chamber. These happen to be chambers or women's business education associations, and now is when they are thinking about springtime, because they're already done booking for November and December. And so by you having this, like, this is the problem that I solve, that might fit really well into a theme for a particular month that they've got coming up. Or it could also fit into a conference that they've got coming up. So, think about it through the eyes of a meeting planner. So again, if you could fine tune it, so now that a couple people have answered, what problem that they solve, and if I say to you, great, wow, that's interesting. How do you do that? Then what do you say? So type in, while I have a drink of water, type in, what is the process? How do you do that? How do you solve that problem? So I think a couple of weeks ago I told you that my Diva ring light had, it died. It died, and I finally got it back, and it's perfect because it is so cloudy outside, and normally I can use natural sunlight for my show, which is kind of why I kind of picked noontime. But now we're going into the winter months, and it's just going to be cloudy a little bit longer. So I am considering, this is just a little note while everybody has time to think about the question about what's the process that you do. I'm curious what time best fits this for me to have the show. I'm thinking of moving the show from noon to a little bit later in the afternoon, still keeping it on Mondays. Super curious what works for you, because I do send out emails and messenger bots, and a lot of people, they've got a lot of meetings at this particular time. So feel free to let me know, and we'll take that all into consideration. So what do your clients wake up looking for? And then what's the process that you walk them through? So let me just kind of peek over here. Jen says, I introduce people to their inner wisdom. Ooh, so saying that, I would want to know, definitely would want to know a little bit more, because that sounds intriguing. That almost sounds mysterious. So when you're pitching yourself, for speaking events or even for other podcasts, by people understanding and not having to waste a whole lot of mental energy trying to figure out what it is that you do. So from the stage, when you're sharing, when you're trying to sell your products, by people understanding, by the audience understanding and getting exactly what it is that you do, what's the problem that you solve, so that each of them is thinking, oh yeah, I have that problem. Or my spouse has that problem, or I know somebody, a business colleague, a client of mine who has that problem. And this is exactly what they're looking for. They're looking for a solution to that problem. So now people can actually refer people to you. And it's just so sweet and simple. And yet it's complicated. And the reason why it's complicated is because we're trying to be interesting, and we want to say it in such a way that, we want people to remember, because, but it doesn't, people aren't going to remember everything unless it's short, sweet, and I get it. I get the problem. So, so mine is, as I said earlier, mine is that I help clients get more sales, more leads, and more margins. And when somebody asks me, how do you do that? That's when I go into, as a business coach and speaking strategist, I use my years as a professional speaker to help my clients leverage speaking opportunities. Tell me more about, and then I tell them about a 3-step process that I have. So being able to take this short conversation, it's like a meeting at the bank, at the grocery store, at a networking event, online. People say what it is, what do you do? And you can clearly say, here's the problem that I solve. And tell me more. And how do you do that? And to be able to I walk people through a process. Now, keeping in mind who are you talking to? So, for example, if I'm talking to like a brand strategist or a web designer, I'm going to use that audience. If I'm speaking in front of, not just one-on-one, but also in front of an audience, and let's just say it's not a chamber event, but I'm going to use real estate. A statewide realtors association, it's their fall conference. And so I might use realtors in my example. Well, I help people like realtors use leverage speaking opportunities to grow their business. See what I'm doing? So now I'm making it more specific. So now the audience feels like, or the person that I'm speaking to feels like, oh, so like people like me, and now I can see myself in that statement. So again, decreasing that mental energy and not making people work so hard to figure out what to do. So, and if you'd like to learn more about how to do something like this, feel free to, let me put the link up here. You can actually, type that in and you can get a complimentary call with me. I am giving away like three complimentary coaching calls, and a lot of people are really getting a huge amount of value out of them. So feel free to, click on that and sign up for that. And we'll have to put that in the comment section as well. So let's go on to the question of the week. And this question comes from a friend of mine, and she says, when is a good time to get booked? And I'm going to tell you, it's all year long. So here's why I say it's all year long. Because you never know what groups are booking when. So, for example, let me just take this down because I feel like my head is right there. There we go. Some associations will book for the entire year. Some associations that are like that are the ones that book all year long, are things like, definitely like human resource associations, because they have to apply for credits. So they get the whole year done. There are some conferences that are booked even up to 18 months. Yes, months in advance. So you got to get out there. You got to start pitching yourself, start positioning yourself, but also building those relationships with people. So I know that Jen actually did a virtual event early a couple of months ago, and she, so let's leverage that opportunity. And what other speaking events, virtual or live, can you use? Can you try to pitch for, because that are similar to that audience, and to let people know that, hey, I'm a speaker. Make sure your website positions you as a speaker. Nothing says I'm a newbie than you telling somebody, hey, I'm available for speaking, and then they go to your website and there's no speaker page. So we don't want to do that. So make sure you have a speaker page, and don't make me hunt for it. You've probably heard me say this before, and especially if you're one of my clients, you know that don't make people hunt for your speaker webpage. Don't put it in the About Me section. I mean, right up there on the toolbar, I want it to say speaker page, speaking, something that totally gives it away. I want to know that you're a speaker, and this is the page that I go to, and I get all of the information, what problem you solve, what speeches you have available, a bio, and those can be downloadable. A short bio, a long bio, and you could give them a sample introduction. I typically like to customize my introduction, so I always send it a couple of days before the conference, up to a week before, depending on the size of the conference. And headshots. Definitely have some headshots, and along with some testimonials and video. The testimonial and video might be a little bit hard if you are just starting out, but you can give them everything else, which is going to position you as the expert. And right up there. I want to know what problem you solve, how you do it, and hear the interesting, compelling talks. So hope that helps. When is a good time? It's all year long. It's about reaching out to the people who actually do the hiring and booking of speakers and finding out what's their process. Now, in your nonprofits, the people these are all volunteer type positions, depending on the part of the country, will depend on when the kind of like the government changes, the leadership in the group changes. So, for example, up here in the north, we typically don't have meetings with these like chambers or different association professional trades during the month of July and August. They really tend to take them off. Whereas what I've noticed down south, they actually will have programs all year long. So with that, if you know that we are approaching June, you might want to find out who the next person is. And when all else fails and you can't figure out who to send it to the president of the organization. And they will definitely forward it to the right person, even if they are stepping down, like if you happen to hit it during that leadership time when the leadership is changing. So up here in the north, the leadership typically changes around June, and down south, it typically changes around December. So hope that helps. But definitely find out when the groups that you want to speak for, find out what their process is. And they'll be more than happy to share that with you. And when you go more into the bigger associations that have, like paid people, so they're constantly doing this all year long because this is actually their job. So that is today's show. Once again, if you would like to be one of the lucky people to book a complimentary call, feel free to do that. You can just type it. bit.ly chat with LA. There's just a couple of questions to answer, and you can get, we'll spend some time together, and you will definitely get like tons of value and tons of ideas on how you can actually start using speaking for your business. So with that, I hope you have a fabulous week, and next week we're going to be talking about stories itself. Some of the stories that you need to have that will either handle objections, you can tell from the stage, that will help people enroll people, sign people on, and help them buy your product, services, wouldn't it be nice just to walk off the stage and have people throwing their credit cards at you? Yeah, it's happened to me a few times, and that's exactly what you want to do. So again, feel free to book a call with me, and also if you have a question of the week that you would like answered, feel free to type it right down below, and you might be the winner of that QOW. Have a fabulous week. Bye-bye.